by chopper. Donald Trump returns to D.C. The chopper's got to go over all those fences and over all that barbed wire, land in the Capitol. It's going to take to the Capitol steps because that's where you get inaugurated. And I'm not sure who's going to attend this because there's nobody in the Capitol. They've abandoned the place. There'll be the Congress, all those weak threats. I don't know if you heard it, Turtle Boy, but there are credible threats against the Capitol. One report said these right-wing, white supremacist QAnon people are poised to blow the Capitol up. And I take that seriously. I think they have a plan. I don't know what it is, but they have a plan. I think everyone should get out of D.C. I think they should make the fences higher. I think they should make them walls, solid concrete walls. They should call shea concrete, get retaining walls around the Capitol, and don't let anyone near it. They should let no one in D.C. because this is so dangerous. I think, you know what I really think, Turtle Boy? Well, I think 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃, Viking Man, is sending signals to his supporters. They had a plan to overthrow the government. We all know that.
They almost did it.
Right. They were this close to overthrowing the government. It was just like Myanmar. Myanmar? How do you say that? Myanmar?
Myanmar.
Same thing. QAnon shaman had a plan. He was going to be the new god king of the U.S. government. No guns, but they had like flags and like sticks and some rocks, and they were going to overthrow the U.S. government, take over the military, kick all the Congress people. No, kill. They were going to take that guillotine and cut the heads off of all the Congress people. That was
pronounced
the plan.
guillotine, Gerry. Guillotine.
What did I say?
Guillotine.
Very American of you.
Yeah, well, it was going to be like 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃. All the heads were going to roll down the steps in front of the Capitol. Every congressperson, every senator, and QAnon shaman was going to be our new president, and it was going to be a free country. We were going to be free. There was going to be no taxes and stuff like that, and there was going to be no police reform bills or anything. It was just going to be him as a dictator, and I was all in. But today,
I think you're onto something. I think that QAnon shaman is onto something. I think that he's sending signals from the inside, right? He doesn't just do press because he wants
to.
Right.
Why else would he do an interview this way? If you missed it, we have the whole thing. We have the QAnon shaman. Everyone's been waiting excitedly to hear from this loser who painted his face red, white, and blue.
Loser mastermind. Sure.
I'm sorry.
Loser
mastermind, same slash,
And who's to say that Gayle King is not a part of this journey? Who's to say that, he had to know somebody who knew him. Maybe she's part of QAnon.
Wait, why are they platforming hate?
It's a good question, because that's the new platform of our new federal government under QAnon shaman. It's all about hate, white supremacy. Gayle King is she's a white supremacist. We all know that. She's just trying to throw us off the trail, but with support for Biden and Obama and everyone else. But she's in on it. We know that now. She talked to today, if you missed it, the QAnon shaman, the first U.S. citizen to get life for trespassing, no bail. He got organic food, which is important, because that's going to be part of his platform. Organic food for everybody. But QAnon shaman this morning, I believe, broke his silence, and I've been waiting to hear because I need orders. We need our assignments. What's the next step? He didn't get to keep his Viking horns in prison, which is too bad, because I guess they thought he was going to, escape. He was going to shank the guard with the Viking horn and escape. So he's still in prison, going on, how long would that be? 1, 2, 3 months for trespassing and disorderly conduct and vandalism and other, serious charges. And he should be in prison because that way it's harder for him to plot the overthrow today. It's not an overthrow today. It's just a re-inauguration of Donald Trump. That's why D.C.'s in lockdown. It's been in lockdown. That's why they've spent almost $1 billion on fences and barbed wire and National Guardsmen and rotted food for the National Guardsmen. It's a big, big plot. Today, we all just hold our breath, and hope the death count, the body count is low. But we'll see. Anyway, today's the day that QAnon Shaman broke his silence. We have the sound, do we not, Cullinane?
No, it just went live just before we came on.
Just went live.
And we haven't been able to scrub it, so sorry. Actually, you know what? If CBS can air QAnon conspiracy theories, then we can air it, right?
That's a good question.
We're not going to get censored like we did last time.
How are they allowed to do this, CBS? How is the well, first of all, you found it on Twitter, right? Or on Facebook?
Did it come with one of those little things underneath that Twitter always has? Like remember they used to do to Trump? Everything he would tweet, it would be like, "This is disputed information." Does it come like with that?
Every day they would do it, right? Disputed. They flagged everything he tweeted. And how can you not flag this when we know, we can confirm that he's sending signals? I'll tell you, some of the words he uses, the phrases, in the video, you'll see he doesn't have his Viking horns and he's bald, by the way, but he looks good, he looks strong, he looks ready to lead. It's like, like Nelson Mandela getting out of prison. He's ready to lead, and I'm ready to follow. I don't know, here he is. We get some video. I mean, that's a leader right there, wouldn't you say? That's a guy that you want to follow into battle.
That's what he looks like. He looks like Jack Dorsey. Like bald or Jack Dorsey.
Let's hear from him because he does look like a leader. I'll give him that.
Let's hear from what is his name anyway? I don't even know.
I don't even know.
He's just the QAnon Shaman.
QAnon Shaman, yeah.
QAnon Shaman. They took his Viking horns, his cape, his fur. They don't let him paint his face in prison. But today, he spoke out with. Did he actually speak to Gail Freeman?
No, he spoke to a reporter from CBS.
A reporter from CBS from prison, and we are ready to get our
reporter. We're not sure. We don't know what it could be like you said, this could be a smoke signal.
Let's listen to Q-Man himself.
On January 6th were an attack on this country. Do you understand that?
No, they were not, ma'am. My actions were not an attack on this country. That is incorrect. That is inaccurate entirely.
How would you describe them?
My actions personally?
On January 6th.
My actions on January 6th, how would I describe them? Well, I sing a song, and that's a part of shamanism. It's about creating positive vibrations in a sacred chamber. I also stop people from stealing and vandalizing that sacred space, the Senate. Okay, I actually stopped somebody from stealing muffins out of the break room.
You guys read about the muffins?
The muffins! He's the muffin man.
I mean, honestly, Turtle Boy, I know you and I are both followers, big believers, but I think he's going to win some converts. I think when this interview airs, goes viral, goes global, I think people are going to come around.
Why didn't CNN tell us about the muffins, Gerry? The muffins
seems like a big deal, do they not?
It's the media. The media is corrupt. They're suppressing, just like they suppressed the Hunter Biden story. They're suppressing the QAnon Shaman story. He stopped people from stealing muffins.
Yeah, the podium guy would have eaten all the muffins if the QAnon Shaman wasn't there to put him in line.
He had the perfect stage to sing a song while he was at the podium. He didn't sing the song there.
I'm ready to sing with you, Q man. What
Tom, can we just point out that this guy is getting a harsher sentence than Jefferson Davis did for leading an actual insurrection against the country? What the? Jefferson Davis got statues and stuff like that. This guy's being
not anymore.
Not anymore. That's true.
But where those statues were, we're going to build statues of QAnon. It's going to be easy because he's got no hair. We're gonna keep a tally of the heroic acts that he performed on January 6th. He sang a song, which I assume was Lee Greenwood, right? What else would you sing? I assume was Proud to Be an American. And B, stopped people from stealing muffins. He couldn't stop the guy from stealing the podium or stealing the documents from Nancy Pelosi's office, but he did stop them from stealing.
What kind of muffins? Blueberry?
Let's hear some more.
Okay.
The prayer in that sacred chamber because it was my intention to bring divinity and to bring God back into the Senate.
But Jake, legally, you were not allowed to be in what you're calling the sacred chamber.
And that is the one very serious regret that I have, was believing that when we were waved in by police officers that it was acceptable.
Do you still believe you're a patriot?
I consider myself a lover of my country. I consider myself a believer in the Constitution. I consider myself a believer in truth and our founding principles. I consider myself a believer in God.
Or Siegel is it?
I don't know about you guys, but I'm convinced. You know what? In all seriousness, he's going to beat the rap. I mean,
if they waved him in, he makes a good point. He's like, I don't know, they waved me in.
They waved him in. We have video of him entering the Senate chambers with a security guard escorting him. He goes up to the leader's podium area, and the guy says, "Can you just come down? That's the sacredest place." And he does. There's no video of him committing any violent acts, breaking windows, smashing anything, stealing anything. He's going to beat the rap.
I hope he does.
Sure.
They all
I'm not
deserve
sure
it.
if it's going to lead to a whole new wave of violence, like it will if 𝗟𝗏𝘃𝗃 beats the rap in Minneapolis.
This time next week, right? We'll have the Chauvin trial.
Which I don't, we can get into that too. But he's got a good chance. I can't believe I'm saying it, but 𝗟𝗏𝘃𝗃 has a good chance of beating the rap because they overcharged him, and the medical examiner has already said that George Floyd had enough fentanyl in him to OD. But I know we'll get to that. That's coming. This is more important today because March 4th, and I know people are stupid. People are stupid. The American public is stupid. We see examples every day. But are people really believing this nonsense?
Yes,
about
Gerry, they will believe
threats. We have to surround the Capitol with fencing and National Guardsmen. The Congress has to adjourn and leave the city. They had to work deep into the night last night and get out of the city because they're afraid of QAnon.
Gerry, these are the same people that believed the media when they told them that a 16-year-old kid in a MAGA hat smiling at a guy banging a drum in his face was like some sort of racist cult leader or something. They will believe anything the media tells them as long as it's associated with Donald Trump. Anything.
It is sad. Or Brett Kavanaugh drugged women when he was 16 years old.
Listen to this guy. Like, that's the leader of the revolution. That's their Ho Chi Minh. This is what they got? This is like, what the? No wonder it failed.
That is Fidel Castro right there in 1959, taking over, Cuba, overthrowing Batista. And he's got, a huge, you don't know because these people are so sly and cunning, Turtleboy. You don't know how many there are. You've never actually seen a QAnon leader, right? I don't know.
I don't know what QAnon is. What the hell is it?
Stop, please. Like you don't know. Like you're not a member.
Brian Stelter tells me I should be scared of it, but I still there's a guy named Q. What's his real name? Quinn?
You're not supposed to know, okay? He's so smart. You'll never find out.
Where does he live?
𝗪𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃 I believe is his name.
So he's the real leader. Where was he? Oh no, how come he's not being charged with conspiracy, RICO?
He's leading in prison. That's why. See, today you're going to find out because that's why this interview dropped today. I mean, why was he waiting 3 months to tell his story? Because today he sent signals. I mean, you think that muffins are really, you think he's really talking about muffins right there? He's not talking about muffins. He's talking about bombs and missiles and rocket-propelled grenades. They're coming.
Well, also, just to be clear, this is part of a 60 Minutes Plus piece, and Paramount Plus is where that show lives, and it launches today, coincidentally. So
today, Inauguration Day.
So they chose, just to let this be clear, they're launching a major platform in their eyes, right? They're launching like their version of news, Netflix, or whatever you want to call it. And their lead get for this show, they felt to launch the entire thing was the QAnon shop. That's their get. That's their big get. The guy.
And are they happy with the content? Because he sounds like we thought he would sound. He sounds like a moron who just swept up in whatever conspiracy theories, dumb conspiracy theories.
He's ill. Don't you think he's ill?
Said a prayer. He's going to beat the rap. He's been overcharged. He doesn't get bail. Now, what logic is that? You're right. You mentioned Jefferson Davis, but I said QAnon man could have murdered somebody. He could have murdered his wife if he had a wife. And he'd have made bail by now, I mean, Derek Chauvin made bail, right?
Yeah, I mean, isn't that what Democrats want is like criminal justice reform? Was the Minnesota bail fund shared to get these guys out of jail?
No, I don't believe. Well, yeah, Mike Pence started a fund to raise money to bail out all the
that wanted to kill him. They wanted to hang him.
That's right. They wanted
the guillotine.
Put him in the guillotine and take off with his head. But it's a good point. You know why he's in jail? You know why he's not getting out anytime soon? You know why he's so overcharged? Because he has no support. When you burn down police stations in Minneapolis or burn down federal courthouses or try in Portland, you have lots of support. You have the support of the vice president, maybe even the president, who knows? But you have the support of the media. You have the support of everybody at CNN. If you destroy small businesses, destroy minority neighborhoods in Kenosha or Minneapolis. You got lots of support.
Where is Lynn Wood now? Lynn Wood organized this whole nonsense. He's he's a good lawyer, right? He got the Covenant kids off. Why isn't he representing all these people for free?
I don't know what he's doing. But he's been banned from everything, so you can't hear him. But the reason QAnon shaman, Jacob, what's his last name? Jacob what?
𝗪𝗏𝗄𝗎.
𝗪𝗏𝗄𝗎 is still in prison. He has one supporter, his mother. His mother was the one demanding they give him organic food. Why don't they just give him regular food and tell him it's organic? What's the difference?
He knows. The shaman knows, Gerry. He's not stupid.
My wife brought home a box of cereal last night and it said organic, and I always go, what the hell does that even mean with cereal? And on the back it explained only 1% of the farmland in the U.S. is organic. This is special, where they don't use pesticides apparently. But who cares? Would you rather have pesticides on your grain or on your tomatoes or pests? That's your choice. If you have organic food, that means bugs get in it, right?
I guess so. Is that?
I digress.
Why? Okay.
So that's
Ask
important
Reimer.
to this nut. He's in prison for trespassing. God knows he'll never get out, and he wants to make sure there were no pesticides used on the peas that he's eating for dinner with his meatloaf in prison.
Yes, these are important.
I'm starting to think he's not of sound mind. I'm starting to think QAnon man is a little unhinged.
How can any serious person watch that interview and reach any other conclusion that this guy is ill? He's not in the same universe as the rest of us. He's no different than the guy in the street corner ranting and raving about whatever in New York City, and we're just taking him serious. They want to present this guy as the leader of a serious revolution that almost killed literally half of Congress.
Right, and by the way, they're shoving through legislation. And again, they did it yesterday, last night, late into the night, because they had to get out of D.C. because he was coming. That to me, and we mentioned this yesterday, Shattuck and I talked about the big lies. We've been told a lot of lies in the last year. Most of them about the corona, about the China virus. Most of them about things. I mean, God knows, Fauci's lied to us every other day. Today, whatever. We're being told lies about the virus and whatever, masks and spread and lockdowns and everything else. But I've never heard a bigger, more transparent lie than the Capitol is under siege, that these threats from white supremacists. And I mean, I've tweeted about it, and invariably you get these people tweet back and they say, don't you remember January 6th? And my answer is, of course I do. And that's why it'll never happen again, because it was stupid. It was unorganized. It was a mess. It hurt Trump. It hurt the person they supposedly supported. And they'll never allow it again. There'll never be another January 6th. There'll be plenty more Kenosha's and Portland's. Antifa isn't slowing down at all. But I'm going to say that the white supremacists, the QAnons, whatever you want to call them, they're not coming back today. They're just not. They're done. At least for now, they're done. It's a lie. You've been lied to. There will be no riots today.
There's no more muffins to save. We're all good. QAnon's good.
Think about the muffins.
Think about the muffins.
Someone's in there. Jerry Nadler's in there right now, gorging his face off. Thanks to that man right there. They owe him a debt of gratitude.
He stopped people from stealing muffins, and I think that we should all acknowledge he's a hero of sorts. He's a hero. He stopped people. He sang a song. He said a prayer. He stopped people from stealing. If there were any support for him, on the right, somebody would be saying this is nuts.
What's being lost in all this, Gerry, is since the insurrection is what Congress has actually been doing. I've never seen Congress this insane before. Think of the bills. Like yesterday, the majority of Democrats, over half, voted to lower the age of voting to 16. We've got the equality bill. They passed a George Floyd bill yesterday, which basically makes it impossible for police to do their jobs. One horrible thing after another. Nobody's talking about it because all we're talking about is this lunatic in jail talking about organic food and muffins.
Or they're lying about an insurrection coming today because of white supremacists. It's a lie. Everyone knows it's a lie. There's no credible threats of them. And I said this yesterday, if they attack the Capitol today and, bomb things and or destroy things like Antifa or Weather Underground, they actually attack the Capitol, I will apologize. But we all know it's a lie. We all know our Congress people, our media are lying to us. It's just an excuse because they no longer have Donald Trump. They need a boogeyman. They need an enemy. The enemy is this shadowy white supremacist army that, and they all go on TV. They say the same thing. All their credible threats. I've seen the intelligence. It's real. They know it's not, but they need to pretend. So while you're worried about QAnon, or while you're worried about white supremacists, people like my insane congressperson, Ayanna Pressley, could say, we're going to lower the voting age to 16. I believe it was well more. Let's get the numbers on this bill, because I believe it was well more than the majority of Democrats voting for this. And the police reform, they want to get rid of qualified immunity, which is, again, insane. There was a woman, a congresswoman, a big, large husky congresswoman from Florida, who gave a great speech because her husband's a SWAT team medic. And this bill will not allow him to wear a vest, she said, a bulletproof vest. She brought the vest to the House floor and said, see this? You're trying to take this away from my husband. It was a great speech. I saw some excerpt of it. But you're so right that under this guise of the white supremacists are coming, they're going to ramp through police reform, which is not reform at all. It's criminal reform. It's helping the criminals and hurting the police. And when people pay attention, they see that, but they're not paying attention. They're distracted by the shiny object, which today is QAnon Shamanan, and this alleged date that QAnon was going to inaugurate. They weren't going to inaugurate him, though. They were going to inaugurate Trump. Has anyone told Trump today's the day he's supposed to come back to D.C. and get inaugurated?
Today's not. March 4th. This used to be inauguration day, according to the original Constitution, Jerry. Did you know that?
Oh, is that right?
That's right.
We're going back to it?
I guess so. I mean, we're going back to the Hoover days. That's why they got rid of this. This is the 20th Amendment, Jerry. They wanted to get rid of Hoover quickly, expedited. They wanted to bring in FDR.
Well, what about Archie Bunker said, man, we could use a man like Herbert Hoover again.
He said that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Mr.
Jesus.
We could use a man like Herbert Hoover again.
I thought it was J. Edgar Hoover.
Didn't need no welfare state. Everybody pulled his weight. G.R. LaSalle.
You sound exactly like his wife. You sound
his wife. You don't know her name.
Edith? Is it Edith?
You're right. The vote was 125 to 93 in favor of lowering the voting age
for Democrats. That's just on the Democrats.
Every single Republican voted against it, of course, thank God, but they don't have the majority. So, and the leader of this was my completely, utterly insane congressperson. She's crazier than AOC.
She is.
She's the craziest, the most committed. She should be committed, but she's the most committed. She's a true believer. She thinks everything and anything is racist.
But she has new competition, Jerry, the chick from Missouri.
Right, that's true. Cori Bush
yeah.
They're right. They're true believers. They will never, ever compromise on anything. She thinks everything and everyone is racist. And any crazy idea you have, like whatever, lowering the voting age to 16. I mean, I know some 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds. I mean, the idea that 18-year-olds vote is scary. They should be raising the voting age to like 40. That's what I think. But can we listen to my insane congresswoman with her mask on the House floor saying why we should let 16-year-olds, people who can't drive yet, people who can't drink or, have a firearm, or, people who are still in high school and playing video games and smoking weed, they're supposed to vote.
The chair now recognizes the gentlewoman from Massachusetts.
Oh, God.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today in support of my amendment to H.R. 1, the For the People Act. H.R. 1 is bold, transformative legislation which fights voter suppression, promotes access to the ballot, cracks down on money in politics, and provides transparency to the American people. Passing this bill has never been more urgent. We must act to protect and preserve our democracy. My amendment gets to the heart of H.R. 1 and recognizes the contributions that young people continue to make to our democracy. By lowering the federal voting age from 18 to 16 years of age, my amendment would enfranchise young Americans to help shape and inform the policies that will set the course for our future.
Stop. I mean, the idea that she gets to vote, and it's just frightening.
She said voter suppression. We're suppressing 17-year-olds, Jerry.
Right.
That's who we're suppressing.
So
my kid, by the way, I have two kids upstairs. They're 3 and 5. They're being suppressed as well.
You know what? I don't want but the 3-year-old, but the 5-year-old should definitely be allowed to vote. It's time. You know what? we're marginalizing 5-year-olds by not allowing them to vote.
And guess who they would have voted for, Gerry? Donald Trump. I didn't tell them who to vote for. They said they can't vote for sleep. I go, who do you want to win? They said Donald Trump. Why not? I don't like Sleepy Joe. Why not? Too sleepy.
Too sleepy?
I think that's legit.
5-year-old is a boy or girl?
The 5-year-old is a girl. Well, she hasn't announced yet, but we believe she's a girl.
I was going to say, are you sure? Did she decide yet?
For now.
It's about that time.
Yes,
it is about that time. I prefer 4-year-olds.
We got Dr. Rachel Levine's going to save us. She'll let us know.
I was going to say, she's not ready to reach puberty, but then again, maybe you could stop that, and she can never reach puberty if you decide. But you're not involved in that decision. It's up to her.
Yes, it is her choice. Her big announcement day is coming in a couple weeks. She's got a press conference held. We're going to find out the gender reveal, the real gender.
And it's truly amazing. 125 Democrat Congress, 125 want 16-year-olds to vote.
Why is that? Why is that, Gerry?
I understand why. If 16-year-olds voted for the Republican, they would say, let's raise the voting age to 45. There's no real conviction here. She doesn't mean that she doesn't want them to be marginalized. She means those people will vote for me and people as crazy as I am. I look, every time I hear her or look at her, I say, I have neighbors, I have family members who vote for this lunatic, who want her making decisions that affect their lives. It is truly scary. She referred to her in her speech, referred to Dr. Kendi.
Oh, God, she mentioned him?
Oh, God. And, those 16-year-olds, it would be like 99-1. Any 16-year-old who would actually go to the polls would be a true believer, would be like her, would be insane. But hopefully, fortunately, Republicans only have a 5-vote deficit in the House, so there's no way they can ram something as insane as this through. But we'll see. And by the way, Joe Biden, has he said where he comes out on this? I'm sure Kamala Harris is all.
No, well, he'll have to ask Nance. Nance will let him know.
Nance.
Whoever Nance is.
I know we play this game, and at times it seems a little tedious, but can you imagine if Donald J. Trump, or even Mitt Romney were president or whatever, and did no press conferences, none, for the first 45 days, did no State of the Union, did no real public appearances where the media has access to him. And when he did speak, some handler decided when and where or if he could take questions.
Am I allowed to talk, Nance?
I think yesterday's appearance was the most revealing and the most humiliating so far. And let's be honest, every day he does something. When he had to look at the other day when he pulled the card out of his pocket to see how many people had died, and he just was rambling on, and he then a few days before that said, "Why am I here?" It's just embarrassing. It's 45 days in, and we now all know that he's not really in charge. There are Democrats that want to have a bipartisan push to take away his unilateral ability to wage war, or to not wage war.
Gerry, every press conference,
fire the missiles to start, to use nuclear weapons.
𝗵𝗄's in the background there. Every press conference now, sitting there nodding. You never saw Pence do that. It's very clear that this guy is just sitting up there. He doesn't know what the hell to say. If he was on his own, he's an lost old man who doesn't know what to order at a restaurant. He doesn't know what time it is. He's just like, what are we doing here? And he's the leader of the free world. And everybody's cool with it because everybody knows that, obviously this guy's not in charge. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
And 80 million people allegedly voted for him. Oh, I shouldn't say that.
You sound like shilling.
Definitely voted for him. 80 million definitely voted for him. And there was no foul play at all. It was 100% legit, and he earned it and he deserved it. And all 80 million are very, very happy with the choice. Including me. I vote. We got to be careful there. We've been flagged for QAnon support. So let me just say that I think he's completely lucid and coherent, and he's going to be one of the great presidents of all time.
He already is.
And if he isn't, I trust Nance with all my heart. Everything about Nance. Yeah.
Is he talking about Jim Nance? Because Jim Nance, I mean, obviously he's got does golf, he does football. I mean, he's a big star. Jim Nance, we now know, is running the country. That is scary.
Yeah, let's see.
Thank you. And I'm happy to take questions if that's what I'm supposed to do, Nance, whatever you want me to do.
Nance
didn't want him to take questions.
Nance is like, cut, get him out of there.
It's one thing to say, no, Mr. President, we got an appointment, we got to go somewhere, we don't have time, we're out of time. They just bring the curtain down on this poor old man. That's not really his fault. He said, I'm happy to take questions. So he was willing to take questions, and they can arrange it so only friendly questions are asked, and he doesn't have to risk embarrassment. But they decided a better thing to do is just flip the switch and bring the curtain down.
It's been a month. How long is this going to last, Gerry? Is this going to last 4 years?
My guess was 18 months initially. That was the over-under. I think you and I talked about it before. The over-under was 18 months. I'm going way under now because...
Why? Why change it? Like, it's working fine. Like, they have this idiot up front, this friendly guy that, America likes Joe, and he has no clue. I mean, it's kind of brilliant when you think about it. He just isn't running anything. There's somebody behind the scenes pulling everything. Whoever's behind the scenes, America wouldn't like. So you just throw Joe up there and you pull the strings, and he says what the people behind the strings are thinking, and it works out well. No,
I was wondering. I mean, we checked the see who Nance actually is.
Yeah, no, I take back what I said. I take back everything I said. Nance is Nancy Pelosi. I don't know why we didn't pick up on that one.
That's Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, Nance. Yeah. He was speaking to the the House Democratic.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Nancy Pelosi, who's older than he is putting the curtain down to prevent him from answering any questions. Well, I'll tell you why. And I think it was Dana Perino, used to be the press secretary or press spokesman, whatever, for Bush. She said there's one thing that will upset the media. The media is obviously completely in the tank for the man, but they will not like the fact that he never faces them, never takes questions, never steps before them and makes a statement. I mean, they will not like the fact that he is being protected, shielded from them, which is amazing when you consider a guy like Trump faces the media. The first question is, why you lie so much? And everything is hostile, everything is negative. He knows if he goes before the media, or his wife, who's leading him around by the elbow, knows if he goes before the media, they'll say, gee, what has enchanted you the most about being in the White House? Is vanilla still your favorite milkshake? I mean, they will absolutely slurp him up, but he still won't take the risk. What does that tell you?
About Joe?
About Joe, that he won't go before the media when he knows the media is there for one reason only, to rub his feet and make him feel good and make him look good. They're part of the same team, and he still won't go before them.
But Biden is no longer the Vegas odds-on favorite. I'm looking at it right now to win the Democratic nomination. Kamala is. She's plus 200. Joe's plus 225. Then is Elizabeth Warren is a distant third. But do you know who the overwhelming favorite on the Republican side is? Overwhelming?
Well, it's Trump.
It's plus 250. And that sucks. That's not good.
When they took him out, one poll had Donald Trump Jr. as the favorite.
Oh, Christ. I mean,
that's the power of the Trumpkins, but I think there's a long way to go. DeSantis is doing great. He's like third or fourth on that list. Pence is on that list. Ted Cruz is on that list. But I think among actual Republicans who are paying attention, I think DeSantis is now the favorite.
Imagine how different Florida would have been if that drugged out socialist won. What's his name? Gillum.
I mean, talk about avoiding disaster. I saw someone tweet that out the other day. Here's what almost happened, and they show him passed out naked with the hooker, and he's got a drug like a pipe or whatever drug paraphernalia. That guy was almost governor of Florida, and right now, if he were governor, it'd be shut down, and it'd be the whole thing would be a disaster. There'd be unemployment and businesses going under and everything else. They dodged a bullet.
Florida is like our Sweden, Gerry. It is the control group. It is the oasis of freedom. Like, people are literally fleeing to... I've never met so many people that are going to Florida. all the time now. It's like, because it's literally a different country down there.
I know. It's free America. And I say this all the time because people, when they tweet or write or talk about restaurants going under or whatever, any business, gyms, they say, because of the pandemic, this restaurant is closing. And I do this, and I know it's tedious, but I'm going to continue to do it. I say, correction. It is not because of the pandemic. That restaurant would be alive and well if it were in Orlando or Tampa or Jacksonville. If that same restaurant that, is near the Boston Garden or Fenway and it's gone, or in Florida, it would be doing fine. So thus, it's not the pandemic, it's the governor. In our case, we have a crazy liberal tyrant, Charlie Baker, who's not going to be happy till he destroys every restaurant. And I said this yesterday, Shattuck and I talked about it, and I know you'll enjoy it too, Turtle Boy. This is going to be fun. Watching all these states open up, watching liberals lose their mind. Texas opens up for business, which kind of surprised me that it hadn't already opened. Gets rid of the mask mandate, and immediately all these limousine liberals, these elitist, pompous a-holes like Greg Popovich and Beto O'Rourke, that half a moron says that Greg Abbott signed a death warrant for the state of Texas, and the Republicans are a death cult that wants to kill people. They don't care.
But the president called them Neanderthals, Gerry. Neanderthals.
That's true. Neanderthal thinking is to open up your economy. By the way, you want to talk, if you want to know just what phonies these people are, and I'm hesitant to call Beto a phony because he's too stupid to be a phony. He doesn't understand.
Oh, he's a phony. He knows exactly what he's doing. Don't underestimate him.
I totally underestimate him. I think he looks like a Kennedy, and he's dumb as a.
He does look like a Kennedy.
I mean, and if he didn't look like a Kennedy, he'd be working at a car wash. But anyway. I want to get to this item before we get to a couple other things in Cuomo's performance yesterday. Finally, Cuomo earned his Emmy yesterday, crying on cue.
Oh, God.
But it ain't going to work. But this, to me, should infuriate everybody. And I understand for some reason we're so partisan, and, the Biden people hate the Trump people, and the Democrats hate the Republicans, and the CNN people hate the Fox people. But shouldn't we all agree that this story, while we are, people like Beto O'Rourke or Popovich are saying we must remain in lockdown, while we have governors like Baker and Whitmer and Newsom still locked down, still keeping kids out of school, still destroying businesses in the name of science, shouldn't we all agree it's insane that they released, the number is 108 illegal aliens in Texas at the border were released into this country after testing positive for COVID. They got on buses. They went to North Carolina, Virginia, New Jersey, among other places.
Oh, good.
They were just the fact that A, you let them in the country, B, you let them get on a bus, C, you let them spread out. It's like one of those movies, like, you ever see a movie like Contagion, a movie about, or The Stand, a movie about a virus or about an epidemic, and they show you that little graphic thing, and it shows that the lines spread all over the country, and immediately, 5 cases becomes 50, becomes 500, and soon, a few days, it's millions. So we are afraid still. People are wearing their masks, alone outside, sledding. Some kids aren't in school. You still can't go to restaurants in some places. We're still in full panic lockdown mode. We still have people like Fauci telling us we're all going to die. At the same time, we release illegal aliens. Okay, think of the issue. We release illegal aliens into the country on buses to bring the virus to other places, other states. Shouldn't we all be alarmed by that? Upset by that?
Don't they have to quarantine when they get to a new state, so they can't work?
No.
Have they qualified for PPP loans?
That's a good question. No quarantining involved. And at the same time, the president sort of says it's Neanderthal thinking to open up businesses. At the same time that he is encouraging people to come over the border and not just don't quarantine or don't test, literally test them, find some are positive, and let them go.
How is that not Neanderthal? That's an offensive word. It's like the Geico commercials. It's offensive to people who are cavemen and who, are ogres in general and stuff like that. Why are we using antiquated words like that?
Offensive to you. Offensive to people with, big foreheads.
Yeah, like people who have beards, like the QAnon shaman guy. He kind of looks like a Neanderthal a little bit.
Right. He is. I'd say that's accurate, but that's utter madness. But we got lots of madness on this today, on this inauguration day. I don't want to say we're going to gloat every day, but we're going to gloat every day about Cuomo because we've been talking about for 10 months on what an absolute scumbag he is. And I hear a lot of people, Turtle Boy. Let me mention 𝗪𝗂𝗃 before we do, because I got to get to that and a couple other things, and the time is flying by here with you. And we got to get to your latest, I don't know what you want to call it, but your latest adversary. Turtle Boy has a new...
I have a lot of adversaries, Jerry.
You have a lot of adversaries. Hopefully this one doesn't put you back in the nut house. But I enjoyed your little mini feud last night on Twitter, and I'm looking forward to your showdown with this little Kindy. Little Kindy. Little Kindy, but before we do that, let me tell you about 𝗪𝗂𝗃 and what Shay can do for you. They can build you a retaining wall. All right, here's what we saw yesterday. We saw a lying, scummy, sleazy, narcissistic politician try to save his own ass, and it became comical. Cuomo, and a lot of people like me who were on Cuomo 10 months ago, listened to everything Janice Dean said, who followed the story closely, understand that he will never, ever do anything worse than he did last March 25th, almost a year ago, when he sent coronavirus positive patients into nursing homes, murdering, literally wiping out 10, perhaps 15,000 or more senior citizens. It's hard to do something in office worse than that,
Oh, there's so many worse things you can do that. Are you kidding, Jerry? You can use offensive term. You could say there's only two genders. There's many more things you could do that are worse than that.
Good point. I forgot about that. You're right, Turtle. You're right. You could say, you could be a white guy who pretends to be a black guy in a cartoon. That would be
big no-no.
You could say that you're. You could use 𝗪𝗔𝗫.
You could say all lives matter.
Oh, no, stop.
Okay.
This is a family podcast. We're not going to say all lives matter here. But it doesn't really matter what he does from here on in, because what he already did is already impeachable. It's criminal. He does not belong in society. He belongs in prison. He's a monster. We've gone over this time and again. What he did on March 25th was sign the death warrant, to steal Beto term, a death warrant for 15,000 seniors. And the reason he did it, there's only two things that could have compelled him. One, he was afraid to make Trump look good if he put the seniors, the coronavirus patients on the ship or in the Javits Center, would have made Trump look good. Or two, you get money. Nursing home owners get money when they die in the nursing homes, and they are big supporters of his, financial supporters of his. So either way, it's just venal, it's vile. He's a monster.
He's the love gov, Jerry, the love gov. Unbelievable how they have any credibility left after this freaking shit show they put America through. This joke. We've been laughing at the Cuomo brothers this whole time, and they've been putting them up like as serious interviews. How was that ever allowed in the first place?
He did 9 interviews, all friendly, some with props, big Q-tips. He literally called him the love gov and said, "Do you want people to know that you're single and ready to mingle?"
Is he divorced?
He's divorced, from Kennedy. He's divorced, and apparently he's quite the,
Well, he's got 𝗪𝗪𝗃𝗄𝗃 Handler all moist.
Right.
She can't.
She's too old. I don't know if you noticed, but she's too old for him. He only likes them in their 20s.
Hey, I can't say I blame him.
If they're not at least 40 years younger than he is, he's not interested.
It's okay. If it's the other way around, it's a little bit weird. I think it's normal, like a 60-year-old guy, he's got a lot of money, famous, 28-year-old, okay. If it was the other way around, if it was like a 40-year-old woman, 28-year-old guy, like that'd be different, he
lives in Albany, guys. I don't know what else.
That's right. Geraldo's defense was defended him and said he lives in Albany, the most boring city in America, and he's single. So he's putting his hands on underlings, a 25-year-old.
He's feeling up chicks from Schenectady, Jerry? Is that what you're saying? And Troy?
Get on Tinder, if you're really looking for love. But you're right. Chris Cuomo will go to his grave embarrassed, humiliated, because those videos of him playing footsie with his brother and giggling. At that very moment, there was a New York senior citizen, maybe some World War II vet, gasping for air as his lungs filled up with fluid, and he took his last breath alone in a nursing home because of this scumbag. That's what's going on. And Chris Cuomo saying, "Are you single and ready to mingle there, love, Gov?"
Oh my goodness gracious.
But anyway, he cried on cue. He apologized to whoever he hurt, and he said, "I never touched anybody." Immediately when he said that, the video or the pictures of him holding that poor girl's head in his hands, and he's big and she's small, and it looks frightening. I said, she looks like an ISIS bride. If she doesn't submit, he's going to kill her whole family. That's what it looks like. And lots of people like me who've been on this for 10 months say, "Who cares about that? He killed 15,000 seniors." Well, I don't care. If Al Capone is going down for tax evasion, I'm going to rejoice that he's going down. That this guy's going down for putting his hands on young women against their will, or asking them to play strip poker, or asking if they like to have sex with old men. He's a creep and a pervert and a scumbag. We will make sure those 15,000 people and their families are not forgotten. We will mention them every single day. But we have to bring him down. He's a monster. If this brings him down, if this forces him out of office, I hope they still pursue criminal charges. If this embarrasses him, then I'm going to enjoy it, okay? I'm going to enjoy the fact that this guy's not going to get away with it. He's
not stepping down. Like, Jerry, Ralph Northam is still the governor of Virginia. Nancy Pelosi. Democrats, no. The only Democrat dumb enough to resign is Al Franken. Like, right. and he learned his lesson afterwards. Like, they're like, "Oh, wait, you don't have to do that. You just wait it out for the outrage cycle to pass, and then they go on to the next one. He'll be good. Trust me, he's not going anywhere."
He will never resign. You're right. He's too arrogant. He's too power drunk. He loves the job. He loves the power. He will never resign, but he'll be compromised. And you know what else? He'll never be president. So that's a good thing. And the longer he stays in office, the more humiliated he's going to be. The more humiliated Chris Cuomo is going to be. So let him stay. But can we play the cut where he starts to cry? And you tell me just how phony this is. How what an actor he is. It's just ridiculous.
And you are right. You can find hundreds of pictures of me making the same gesture with hundreds of people, women, men, children, etc. You can go find hundreds of pictures of me kissing people, men, women. It is my usual and customary way of greeting. You know that because you've watched me for, let's just say, more years than we care to remember. By the way, it was my father's way of greeting people. You're the governor of the state. You want people to feel comfortable. You want to reach out to them.
It's okay to grab a woman by the face and say, "I want to kiss you," because your father told you to do so 30 years ago, or you know what I mean?
You kissed men? I haven't seen any pictures or video of him kissing a man. I'm sorry. In fact, I haven't seen a video of kissing a woman over 40. They're all...
But that picture that's everywhere, Jerry, that was after that she says he put his hand like right on her backside, exposed skin in a dress and all that stuff.
She stopped him, right?
And she was already scared shitless in that moment, obviously, and then he goes and does that. It's like, yeah.
And she said, he said, "Can I kiss you?" To whatever she is, 25-year-old at a wedding reception. "Can I kiss you?" It's like right in front of all these people, and her friend is videotaping it or taking photographs.
Surprised he didn't take a selfie and put it on Instagram, Jerry.
He's so arrogant. He thinks he can get away with anything. I think he's going to eventually. He won't resign. You're right, but he will be compromised, and he will be a joke. Hell, all his friends, the late night comedians, they all turned on him. These John Olivers, these a-holes who were praising him, who were loving him, who were telling you what a great performance he gave all spring, and who wanted him to win an Emmy and write a book and everything else, they've turned on him. His best friends, Chelsea Handler, I don't know if she's turned on him yet, but she will.
She'd still ride him, Gerry. Come on. She would still jump on the love gov.
She would say, can I touch you? Oh, absolutely, Governor, whatever. All right, we got to get to a couple other things. I want to get to this. I've been trying to get to it all week, but and then we'll get to your new feud, which I'm enjoying so far.
Oh, good to hear.
Did you see what Terry Francona's son, Nick Francona, who's a ex-Marine, and he's worked in baseball for a number of organizations. He's kind of a candid guy. He's kind of a truth teller. He's the one that talked about Alex Verdugo, the scumbag Red Sox, the guy they traded Mookie Betts for. He was in Arizona when Verdugo was involved in that deal where the young runaway girl got beaten up, and they took pictures. And anyway, he was the one that told the truth, who kind of let the cat out of the bag that 𝗏𝗏 was covering it up. And I respect the guy, don't know him, but he sounds like a guy who can't tolerate a cover-up or a lie. The latest story in Cleveland is that they allowed Mickey Callaway, when he was a pitching coach for Terry Francona, to sexually harass lots of women. His thing was sending dong pictures, which
Is that sexual harassment? Was it welcomed? We've debated dong pictures before.
And one of the reasons he got in trouble is the husband of a woman he sent dong pictures to confronted the Indians. And according to Nick Francona, Terry Francona, beloved Tito in Boston, covered it up or allowed it to happen. Then Mickey Callaway, the jig is up. Everyone knows he's a dirtbag. There's all kinds of women coming forward. But he puts a statement out, Nick Francona, which I couldn't believe. And he just throws Dad to the wolves. He says, his father, the story broke in The Athletic, which is a problem. Lots of people didn't read it. You saw an excerpt. It was a great story on how Mickey Callaway's harassed all kinds of women.
So he's just sending dick pics out without asking first? Like, can I send you one?
It's a good question. I don't know if anyone asked him if he got permission. But he said, I confronted my father, and it's clear he simply doesn't get it. I'm hesitant to get into personal details of my family situation, but my father and I do not have a particularly close relationship, largely as a result of disagreements about his conduct, some of which has been reported over the years and some of which has not. Now, he's talking about, I assume, when he left the Red Sox. And the Red Sox smear campaign was that he was taking drugs. He was living in a hotel. He was banging everything he was out of control. And we all, at least I did, I kind of liked Francona, didn't necessarily like the ownership, just said it was kind of despicable that they lodged this or started this smear campaign on his way out the door. It seemed kind of sleazy. Well, apparently, Nick Francona, his son, the ex-Marine, is piling on here. He says, I've always tried to stand up for what I felt was right, even when it isn't easy. In this case, that means acknowledging that my own father and his colleagues are clearly in the wrong. Their behavior is unacceptable, and even worse, it's hard to have faith in them to improve and learn when they seem more concerned about covering up wrongdoings than addressing them honestly. I don't think this is a problem that is unique to the Indians. I think there needs to be a reckoning in Major League Baseball. Unfortunately, the commissioner's office is part of the problem, not the solution. Until a truly independent outside party is brought in, these problems will continue to plague the sport.
Time out. Whose dick pic was it?
Mickey Callaway.
Okay.
The Cleveland Indians.
Oh, okay. I apologize. I misunderstood.
And there's all kinds of women who came forward to The Athletic saying that he did it to them, and on and on and on. He's
have they provided the evidence?
Not sure, but I think
it's not that hard.
There's at least some evidence that's in the hands.
It's in the hands. Yes, it's in his hands. It's in his hands.
In the hands of the commissioner's office. This guy is dead man walking, Mickey Callaway. But this doesn't look good for Francona. He covered it up. It went on for years, and his own son is saying that he wouldn't stop. He wouldn't be honest. I guess I got to say this looks good for the Red Sox ownership, because he does sound like Francona is not what we thought. I mean, we knew he was a little bit of a, character, but he sounds like he's covering up sexual harassment just because it's his own pitching coach. I'm surprised Nick Francona hasn't gotten more play, but then again, we reached out to him. Cullinane called him, and he doesn't want to talk about it anymore.
Probably because he called out his dad, and his dad is obviously his dad. I mean, Tito said in a statement that he was, disappointed that his son would make it public and all that stuff. But, he probably just doesn't want to feed it any more than he already did, obviously.
A man came forward to the team, to the Mets. I mean, to the Indians. He got the job at the Mets, and a man came forward to the Indians, apparently because he had enough, and said that Callaway sent pornographic material to his wife.
To his own wife?
The man, why would he care if he did it to his own wife? Why would the man care?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking. That doesn't make any sense. So he's just
correct, which means he sent it to the man's wife.
Oh, the man's. Oh, I apologize, Gerry. I haven't been following your
You're an expert on this.
I am an expert on dick pics. That's correct. I'm a connoisseur, as they would say.
The Athletic interviewed 22 people, and they said that Callaway's sexual indiscretions permeated the workplace to such an extent that it would have been difficult for top officials not to be aware. And then Nick Francona said, yes, my dad knew all about it. So his own son threw Francona under the bus.
Go to your
that is brutal, but I guess, Nick Francona, didn't want to tolerate it, didn't want to see this go on any longer. So
isn't there an aspect that Tito could have just brought it to, I mean, he's claiming that he knew and he didn't do anything, but couldn't he have just brought it to the appropriate people and said, all right, you guys go figure it out because my job is to deal with the baseball team. You guys.
Sure, but I think Nick Francona would have known that, right? If he was there with his dad, he would have said, yes, he did what he had to do. He went to management, he went to ownership. But they knew this creep was harassing women left and right, and I guess he might be a damn good pitching coach because they didn't do anything about it. But it amazes me. The guy's got a great career. He was going to be a manager, and he can't stop sending pictures of his junk to strange women. That is a bizarre sickness.
I mean, when you send, I don't know if he's a rookie at this. Like when you send the dick pic, you're understanding. Like the recipient of this now has you by the balls forever. Right. You can never do anything to them. They will always have something over to you that can destroy you. It is literally the most risky thing you can do. This guy sounds like he's just sending him out willy-nilly. Like, hey, here's some dick. How about this? What do you think of this? Like, I mean, he's a little too into himself, this guy, it sounds like.
You're right. He's 45 years old and he's still doing this. It's like, I mean, if a high school kid does it, you say he's a dumb kid.
Midlife crisis.
Think of it. Think of it. You not only, Turtleboy, does the woman have you by the balls forever, but so does everybody she shares it with.
And she's sharing it. Like a woman doesn't just get a dick pic and just like, you know what? I'm going to keep this to myself. No.
She tells her friends, guess what? I get the
here's the creep of the day. She's going to tell all her friends, here's the creep of the day.
What do you think? It's pretty big. It's pretty bulgy.
Look at that. There's some nice veins in there. Look at them. They're really popping out. Oh. Wow.
I don't care how good a pitching coach you are, or in the case of, we've seen it before with others. You aren't a smart man. You're not a smart man. I don't want you on my side. I don't want you working for me or with me if you're that stupid to do this. If your judgment is that lacking.
Yeah, I mean, well, at least consent first. Like, ask him, like, would you like to see my genitals? Will this help, or will this arouse you? Will this work? Is this better than the pink vibrator? Like, will this work? You could ask those questions instead of just sending it. You don't just send. What are you thinking?
The angry husband went to the Indians, and then he went to Major League Baseball. The commissioner went to the commissioner's office and said, you got a pitching coach, who's sending my wife pictures of his genitals. Ooh. I'm going to say it's over. It's over. Just like, what's the guy's name who's going to be the Mets GM, the local guy?
Oh, yeah, right. What was his name? I can't remember his name anymore.
Check that, because he's one of your heroes. He played college hockey, so Davis idolizes him. True. But he's just this fat loser who couldn't stop. He had a great job. He was about to make $2 million a year running the Mets, but he couldn't help himself. Jared Porter had to send pictures of himself to girls, and now what's he doing? I think I saw him making my sub at Subway the other day. It's all over because he couldn't stop sending pictures of himself. All right,
by the way, like if you're in that situation, couldn't you just rat out everybody but your father? You know what I mean? Like there's enough other people.
It is strange. But you know what? His father, they had a bad divorce.
Yeah.
From his mother.
Turning on your parents is all the rage now. Ever since that girl at the Capitol dimed out her mom.
True. It's trendy now.
I promise I will never do that. Something I can't relate to, turning on your parents or sending a picture of my wiener to anybody, anywhere, ever. But one thing I can relate to is what Turtleboy was doing last night, fighting with crazy, woke, liberal lunatics who are supposed to be educating your children. When I see stories like what you had last night, I think of the kids. That's the way I think, the kids. This person, this nut job that you're fighting with, this guy with the 𝗧𝗂𝗶𝘁𝗲 shirt on, which is, as you point out, that eliminates him from, polite society immediately. You cannot be a good teacher, if you're wearing a 𝗧𝗂𝗶𝘁𝗲 shirt. You're just an idiot. First of all, you're either a total radical or you're an idiot. And this guy is a coach and a teacher, and someone's kids are in his charge right now as we speak. That is frightening. As you point out, he's got a history of racist statements, racist tweets, and on top of it all, he doesn't like me, which is really disturbing.
Shockingly, he doesn't.
Because I'm a big fan of his.
Yes, he's a great guy. So he went private yesterday. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, but I'm already following him, so I get to see his stuff. It was like when Cullen went private, and if you were one of his 17,000 followers, you could still see what Kevin Cullen writes. But yeah, this guy is posting some insane things, blatantly racist things on his Twitter all day long. On the clock, by the way. The Everett Public Schools, Gerry, are closed. They've been closed because of COVID-19, while the casino in town remains fully operational, of course. But the schools cannot open. And during school hours, when these guys are so busy, this is so much harder. And by the way, Gerry, that's all a lie. I live with a teacher, okay? They're done at 11:30. It's a big lie, this whole thing that teachers are working harder. And so he's tweeting out racist garbage, and he gets away with it because you can do that if you're not white. You can say pretty much whatever you want because there's this loophole where you can't be racist if you're black or brown. Did you know that?
I did know that. I've noticed that.
It's part of critical race theory. And they're not even saying it facetiously. They mean it like with a straight face, like, oh, I can't be racist. I'm black, so obviously I can't be racist, duh. So he's just tweeting out this stuff, and any normal person, like if I had tweeted out, if you just switch black and white on any of his tweets, you'd be fired immediately, right? And this guy just gets away with it, and so I put a story out there, and he's whining about systemic racism, and I'd like to point out that, like, the superintendent of Everett is a woman of color. He's a person of color. The principal of Everett High School is a person of color. That's the system in Everett. The system is what? If systemic racism is so apparent and so obvious, why does the entire city of Everett seem to be run by people who are not white?
It's a good question, and he doesn't. He uses his platform to spew this, critical race theory, and we all know that is protected. To say the least. You cannot call them out. You tried, and immediately they came after you, and you invited him on your live show, correct?
I did. He's coming on Monday. We're going to have a debate on critical race.
Critical race theory, which means every white person is born racist.
Correct.
That's basically the premise.
Pretty simple. Yep.
It's being used to poison the minds. Fortunately, the good news is Everett's kids aren't back in school, correct?
Yes. God forbid he focus on something like that on a Monday night. He's got time for me.
Because if they're back in school, their minds will be poisoned yet again by the likes of this gentleman who, and when he attacked me, I noticed all I did was ask the question about the Jacob Blake thing. We did a show on it. Like we spoke to some law enforcement people, and we said, what was the proper procedure here when Jacob Blake, resisted arrest, tried to get in the car, reach for his knife, tried to take off with his children in the car. What were the cops supposed to do? I asked the question. That right there is racist. You can't ask the question. Jacob Blake, who had a knife, who was resisting arrest, who allegedly raped the woman, the mother of these children, and they did what they had to do. And by the way, there's never been any charges because the cops followed the proper procedure. We know that. Jacob Blake admits he reached for a knife. It's kind of not a thing anymore, but apparently the fact that the cop was white and the suspect was not
And by the way, he's sharing TMZ links that say that Jacob Blake was unarmed. That's untrue. Jacob Blake himself has said, I was armed with a knife. So this principal, who's supposed to be somebody that kids look up to, is spreading misinformation and increasing racial tensions on the internet. And that's just okay. We're just allowed to do that. This is what he wrote. This is what got my attention that people tweeted yesterday. He said, I'm always careful of folks who say they feel attacked when discussing race. If you are white, in this case, being attacked is indeed a gross over-exaggeration because there is nothing I can do to snatch your Thanos-like privilege stone. So basically what he's saying there is that if I call you racist and you can't object to me calling you racist, if you feel like I'm being attacked, that's just your privilege speaking. So they found these amazing loopholes. You got to give it to them.
Well, I'm looking forward to your debate. That will be interesting. A guy like this is not used to debating. He's used to getting, not even getting questioned on anything. So it will be interesting to hear you guys debate. Hopefully it'll be civil. We like a good civil debate. But you can check that out. Check out the blog that Turtleboy did on this subject at tbdailynews.com, and you can follow him at @TB_Aidan.
That's correct. AIDAN.
The whole story is there if you're interested. All right, Turtleboy, thanks, man. We will talk to you next week. Big day. I got to get to Washington. We are taking